Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İngiltere'de sizi iş hayatına hazırlamaya yönelik eşsiz programları ile Northumbria University'den Sophie bizlerle olacak. Lütfen sorularınızı sağ alt köşede Questions bölümünden yönlendirmeyi unutmayın. Yes, Sophie, the stage is yours now.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Zeynep, and thank you to everybody in the audience as well. Welcome. My name is Sophie, and I am the representative from Northumbria University who's going to present for you today. Normally, it would have been my colleague Lena who would be presenting, but unfortunately, she's not well. So I will share her contact details with you as well. So if you do have any questions after the presentation, then you can, of course, get in touch with me, or you can get in touch with Lena directly, because she is the one who is the expert in everything that's to do with Turkey. So you can contact her as well. I'll put her email in the end on the last slide. But I will just give an introduction to what we're going to talk about today. So first, I will go through kind of the different parts of studying in the UK. So why should you come to the UK to study? You know, what do kind of the different courses look like? What do accommodation options normally look like? I'll go through some tuition fees and scholarship information, and also the application process. And then as a kind of example to support all of this information, I'll also go through Northumbria University and kind of show you what we have to offer and what kind of studies you could be looking at if you decided to apply to study at Northumbria. So hopefully it's all interesting and useful for everyone. If you do have any questions, please put them into the chat, and I'll be very happy to go through them after the presentation as well. So first we'll start with why study in the UK. I myself am also not from the UK. I'm originally from Finland, and I came to study in the UK in 2009. And I'm still here today. So I think this is quite a common story with, at least I know, students who've come to Newcastle. You know, many of us come here to study, and then we think we're going to be here for just 1 or 2 years, or maybe 3 years for an undergraduate, and then suddenly it's been 12 years and I'm still here. So you might find yourself in a similar situation where you come here to study and you just end up loving it so much, like I have, that you might stay for a little bit longer. So hopefully for some of you, that'll be the kind of experience you get to have as well. But even if you're just here to study for your undergraduate or postgraduate degree, I think you'll still have some really great opportunities to explore the UK and learn a lot about the culture and really gain some skills that will then help you along your career path or your future prospects, no matter where you are going to be after your studies as well. So first of all, the UK obviously has a really great reputation all around the world for having really high quality education. So I don't know if you already maybe knew some of these facts, but actually 4 of the global top 10 universities are located in the UK. So you may have heard of the really fancy famous ones like Oxford and Cambridge, but actually kind of if you start looking at the top 100, a really large proportion of the UK, of those universities are in the UK. So the reputation of these universities and the ranking and the recognition of those universities is really global. The UK is also the second largest destination for international students. The largest is the US, but we are a close second for that. And UK degrees overall are very well recognized all over the world. So if you have a UK degree and you then decide to go back to Turkey or decide to go somewhere else in the world, usually the employers will look at that, see that you have a UK degree, and they'll find that a really positive show that you have gained a really good quality degree wherever it is that you studied. The other thing that students tend to really enjoy about their time in the UK is, of course, the level of studies is great, but then everything outside of your studies, you know, your kind of life day to day, tends to be really rich, and you get to experience a lot of really wonderful things while you're studying here as well. So the kind of different universities that we have, I think we have something like 180 different universities across the UK. So there's a lot of choice. And you can, kind of start to narrow down your choices maybe by thinking about what kind of environment do you want to be living in? So do you prefer really large cities? If you think about like London or Manchester or Birmingham, the kind of really big places. Or if you prefer some smaller cities, for example, Newcastle, where we are based, the city itself is quite small. It's a small area, but within that area, there's a lot of culture and a lot of different things available, and a lot of restaurants and shops and things like that. So again, if you kind of maybe don't want to be in a huge city, but you still want the city convenience, then that's something that you can consider as well. Or then, of course, we have universities that are more in the countryside or in smaller villages, or even that have a separate campus outside of the city. So you might be within, like, let's say, a 30-minute train journey to a larger city. So it very much depends on what your preference is and kind of where you want to be located for your studies. And there's a lot of great options for that. The UK is also really famous for the outdoors options. And I think more than anything over the last 2 years, because of COVID-19 and because we haven't been able to travel internationally, I personally, and I know a lot of British people who are living here, have really discovered the beauty of the UK and discovered the different natural things and things that you can be doing outdoors. So there's some beautiful natural parks, national parks, some lake areas. There's the islands of Scotland, there's all these forests and some really amazing places to go discover. So if you are here for a few years and you've got some time between classes, for example, a holiday or something, then I really recommend that you come, you go and explore the areas outside of the city that you're staying in, because there's some really, really wonderful places to discover as well. The UK also has a really rich history, and there's a lot of, ancient things. If you think about, like, for example, in the bottom left picture, we have the Stonehenge, so that's a very kind of famous historical landmark in the UK. In Newcastle, we have something called Hadrian's Wall, which is a wall that was built by ancient Romans, it is 900 years old. This year is its 900th birthday. So, there's some really fascinating history, and if that's something that interests you, then there's really great things to be discovering here as well. And then sports, of course, the UK is one of those, that's one of the things that we're known for as well, is things like football and rugby. We've got the Six Nations rugby going at the moment. Newcastle United is the football club of Newcastle, where we are based. So there's a lot of different sports activities that you can discover and take part in as well. And go see some games and things like that. I know a lot of students tend to really enjoy that side of things as well. Another really great strength of the UK is the different courses that are available. So of course you have the traditional things of business and law and engineering and all those things. But actually, if you do a little bit of research, you might find that there's actually a degree that is something that is very niche and very specific to your interests. So there's just some examples here of different degrees that you could be studying in the UK. So, for example, brewing and distilling, British Sign Language, that's a degree, baking science, so it might be things that you didn't think would be a degree option, but actually there is something out there that could be quite specific to what you are interested in as well. Some of the more niche things that we offer at Northumbria is, for example, our space law program. We have a master's in luxury brand management, or we also have astrophysics, where we have a program that's partially working together with NASA and, kind of developing more of that astrophysics side of things and space. So there's, some really interesting options, not just the kind of very traditional things as well. And then finally, really, obviously, one of the biggest draws of the UK is that you speak English, or it's an English-speaking country, and so you get to really develop your English skills here as well, not just academically, which of course is part of your degree, but by living here and kind of talking to people in the everyday environment, your kind of conversational English really advances as well. So it's a really great opportunity to develop that. And then, of course, the student life, that's something that I know, at least at Northumbria, the students that come to us, they tend to really talk about how great the student life is. Newcastle as a city is one of the highest ranked student cities in the UK. So there's a lot of opportunities for having fun outside of your studies, if you've got some free time on the weekend, or when there's Easter break and things like that, you really get a good opportunity to enjoy your free time and make friends, socialize, learn some new skills, discover the city and things like that. So next, looking at a little bit more about the different courses that are available to study in the UK. So first of all, at undergraduate level, we have a kind of different system to, for example, if you think about the US, where normally you could apply and you maybe don't have to decide when you apply what specific subject you want to be studying. In the UK, it's a little bit different. So when you apply for a degree in the UK, you have to pick the specific subject that you're going to be studying. And it's not a kind of major minor split. So if you were, let's say, doing a degree in finance, you couldn't have a minor in fine art as like a kind of extra side thing. Normally, you would just be studying that one specific thing. Of course, there are degrees that are offered at certain universities where you can kind of combine different subjects. So that they might be called something like combined honors or combined degree, something like that. That might give you the option of combining a few different subjects, but normally it would just be the one thing that you apply for. A lot of degrees and a lot of universities offer the option of kind of getting more experience than just an academic degree. So you have study abroad, which is doing an exchange year overseas in a different country. You may have internships that are either part of the program or that you can do as a kind of extra year. And then the same with work placements. You might either have some work placements that are built into the structure of the program, or you might have work placements that are kind of an extra year between your second and third year. So just have a look at the different structures and kind of then you can get an idea of which type of degree you would want to apply for. Most degrees are 3 years. But if you then do decide to take a full year abroad as study abroad or a work placement, then it might extend up to 4 years. And then also there are options for doing longer degrees. So for example, engineering and science degrees, you sometimes have the option of doing what's called an integrated master's. So it's a 4-year degree, a standard, which is 3 years of undergraduate, and then you automatically go into a 1-year master's degree after that. And medicine is really the biggest kind of anomaly here. The medicine degrees normally are quite a bit longer. So at Northumbria, normally our medicine degree is 5 or 6 years, depending on your previous studies. So if you are wanting to look at medicine, then expect to be studying a little bit longer. And then master's degrees are normally 1 year. But there are universities such as Northumbria that offer 2-year masters as well. So these might either be 2 years because they are part-time or distance learning, or some of our 2-year master's programs are 1 year of study and then a 1-year placement. So again, it depends on what your priorities are. If you really just want to get 1 year's master's done and quickly get into the working life, then 1 year is great. But if not, there are some more options where you can take your time with the degree as well. And then, of course, there are kind of MPhils, MReses, which are more research focused, all the way up to PhD level as well, depending on what stage of your studies you are at. And then next, looking at accommodation. So in the UK, normally accommodation is offered by pretty much all universities, they would have some kind of accommodation available for their students. You would normally just have your own room, so you wouldn't be sharing a room with another student. It would be your own kind of bedroom. And then depending on which accommodation site you choose, you would either have kind of shared kitchen facilities, maybe shared bathroom facilities, or then if you go for a studio room, then that would also have your own kitchen and your own bathroom. So it just depends on your budget, you know, how much are you wanting to pay, and also what your priorities are. You know, if you want to maybe live in more of like a communal space where you really get to know your flatmates and get to really kind of have that community with them, then, you know, the shared option is better. Or if you really want to kind of focus on your studies and not have to worry about other people making noise and making a mess, then of course the studio can be quite good for that. At Northumbria and a lot of other universities do it too. We guarantee accommodation for first-year students. So if you're coming into the UK and you don't really know the city and you're not really sure which accommodation is best, then you can trust that our university will offer you some place in one of our accommodations, and then at least you know that you won't be kind of cheated with rent or anything like that. You know, our costs are all very transparent, and they include all of your bills like electricity and internet and things like that. So that's always really good if you're coming from overseas. Then in terms of tuition fees, so the UK, if you compare to the US, tends to be a little bit on the more affordable side. But again, it very much depends on where in the UK you want to be studying. So if you're wanting to be in London, it's more expensive because, of course, London is a big city. So things like rent and living costs, they end up being a lot more. And of course, then if you want to go to a really high reputation university, their tuition fees might be higher as well. Also, certain subjects, so for example, medicine tends to cost a lot more than other degrees would. So at Northumbria, for example, normally tuition fees are £16,500 per year, but for medicine you would be paying over 30,000. So it's normally about twice the cost per year for a medical degree. So it's just something to keep in mind. Obviously, all of the tuition fees are really clearly stated on all the university's websites. So if you do want to check costs or anything like that, just have a look on whichever university you're interested in, and they will tell you what the specific cost for the tuition fees would be. The tuition fees costs don't include things like accommodation and travel and living expenses. So again, that's something that you would normally be paying yourself on top of the tuition fees. And then there might also be some costs with some courses if you need to buy some specialist books, or if you need to be maybe doing some research trips or something like that. Those might sometimes have an extra cost. But again, it would be on the university's website. They would give you clear information about what the costs are going to be. And then scholarships. Again, the UK is very different to the US in terms of scholarships. In the US, you know, traditionally people can get what's known as a full ride scholarship. So you would have a scholarship that covers all of your tuition fees, all of your living costs, you know, a very kind of generous scholarship. Whereas in the UK, normally that's very rare. A university normally wouldn't offer a full ride scholarship. Of course, there are private scholarships that you might get. And there might be a few universities who have some more, you know, kind of full scholarships. But normally it would be a proportion of your fees. So, for example, let's say something between 20 to 50% of your costs rather than 100%. Normally with all scholarships, you would just apply for the university first. And then once you've kind of submitted that application, then you can also apply for the scholarship. But it depends on the terms and conditions of the scholarship, of course. So just make sure if there's any deadlines or anything like that, that you've done your research and you're getting your application in time so that there's still time to apply for the scholarships as well. And there might be different kinds of scholarships. So it might be based on just your grades, you know, like merit-based, or there can be things like sports scholarships or music scholarships, which if you've got certain skills or you've got some kind of qualifications on top of your academic skills, then those might get you some kind of special scholarship as well. So again, it's just a case of doing your research, having a look on the different university pages and seeing what the offers are for different universities. And then coming to how to apply. So for Northumbria University and a lot of other universities in the UK as well, you can apply directly to the university using their website. So for example, here's just some screenshots of what it would look like if you were applying to Northumbria. So you would go onto the course page for example, tourism and events management. And at the top of the page, there's a button that says apply now. So you could just click on that. And then it would take you to the online application process. So either if you are applying for an undergraduate degree, you can either apply through UCAS or you can apply directly to the university. But just a word of warning, you can't do both. So let's say if you're applying for undergraduate and you've already applied for your 5 choices through UCAS, you wouldn't then be able to also apply for a few more courses directly. Because the whole idea of UCAS is that you are limited to just the 5 choices, and you really have to do your research and make sure that you've picked the right courses for yourself. But if you don't want to apply through UCAS, if you're just going to apply for, let's say, 1 or 2 universities and you know they both take direct applications, then you can just go to them directly. That's no problem. And we do this QR code here. If you do want to kind of have a look on our web pages, we have support for different students from different regions. So you can scan that QR code and it'll take you through to our international student pages. Of course, if you don't have time to scan it now or you don't want to do it at this moment, then afterwards, if you want to just get in touch with us, we can put you in touch with the right team as well. So don't worry about it too much. What you need to prepare for your application is obviously the application form itself. So whether it's on UCAS or whether it's directly on that university's page, you'll have to have some kind of email that you know you have access to. So don't use an email that you think, oh, I'll just create this fake address for one try. You need to be able to read those emails throughout the application process. So make sure it's one that you have access to. You need to include your kind of transcripts or certificates or anything like that you've already studied. If you are applying and you still haven't had your final transcript or your final scores for something, that's no problem. You can submit the application, and then when you get the final transcript, you can just send it to the university afterwards. That's normally not an issue. The same with if you, for example, want to apply, but you haven't done your IELTS test yet, or you don't have an English certificate yet, then you can just submit the application. And then once you do your IELTS test, you can send that to the university. So again, you can kind of do it bit by bit. Of course, you need your passport details if you're coming to the UK as an international student. That's kind of to do with your student visa. And you do need to apply for a student visa normally if you want to be studying in the UK as well. It depends sometimes on the situation of the individual person. So obviously, if you're not sure, speak to a visa advisor and they can give you more information. And then the kind of most important bit, well, maybe not the most important, because I guess your academic grades are really the most important, but the kind of second most important is your personal statement. So that's the essay that explains why you have applied for that specific subject, why you would make a great student for that course. What is it that you have done in your academic career so far that's made you interested in studying whatever, engineering, biology, something like that. And then, why that university should choose you and should select you for their program. So that's something that you need to submit for all courses. And then, of course, if you're applying for some kind of creative programs, such as design or fashion or something like that, then you would also need to include a portfolio. And that's just a kind of example of your creative style and your kind of some pictures, some sketches, some photography, whatever it is that you've done, depending on the subject as well. And then some degrees will also have interviews. So for example, at Northumbria, if you're doing one of our health and life sciences, so like physiotherapy or occupational therapy or nursing, you would have an interview as part of your degree application as well. So again, that's something to keep in mind. And that's kind of everything in terms of the general UK study. And I will now move on to Northumbria and kind of introduce you to Northumbria University and what we have to offer. There is a video here, so hopefully I'll play it and hopefully you can all hear and see it. Okay, so hopefully you could see that and hear it. If not, it was just some shots of Newcastle as a city and some of our students enjoying their time with us. So you could see from the video, obviously we have, you know, kind of our famous city and the River Tyne, where we have some beautiful bridges. So students like to spend a lot of time there, just having some coffee by the river. And we even have a lot of activities, for example, surfing on the coast. If you've never been surfing, then you can try that while you're here at Northumbria, although the water is very cold. So if you're very brave, then maybe you can try some surfing in the English waters as well. But just a kind of general introduction to Northumbria. So we are the largest university in the Northeast. We have about 37,000 students. Give or take a few thousand each year. And they come from over 130 different countries. So that's about 5,000 or 6,000 international students that we have with us each year. So we do have a really nice international environment at the university. You know, when you are studying your program, you end up working together with people from all over the world, from different backgrounds, different kind of academic interests. And it really is a really great learning environment because, you know, people have different opinions and you learn to work together and kind of express your own opinions and also understand other people's point of view, both academically and also then you know, in your outside life. Something that the UK, that Northumbria University is really known for is our focus on employability. So we really rank highly in terms of graduate employability. You know, our students are able to find work once they graduate very easily over the years because we really focus on giving you as much practical experience as possible during your degree. So it's not just us talking to you in a lecture hall. It's about showing you how to do something and then you doing it then and there to really learn, you know, kind of whatever it is you're studying, whether it's, you know, more fashion or biology and working in labs or engineering or, you know, whatever it is that you'd be studying, you're really learning it as you go as well. We do have over 100 different societies as well. And this is what I was saying earlier about students getting a really good opportunity to learn different skills and learn different hobbies. Sorry, my dog is being noisy. Can't stop it. And then the study abroad opportunities. So we have 160 different partner institutions where you can choose to do your study abroad if you do want to go overseas. And that's a really good opportunity for students as well, because you know, of course, while you're here in the UK, you get to experience the UK and get to learn English and things like that. But then if you go study abroad in the US or South Korea or like France or in Europe somewhere, you know, you get some really great opportunities of then getting that third culture introduction as well. Just to introduce the subjects that we offer, I think somebody was already asking about it in the chat before, what kind of subjects do we have? So this is the kind of general 4 areas that our degrees fall under. So we have the business and law department, where we have all of our business degrees. So things like accounting, business management, finance, human resource management, marketing. And then in our law department, we have our bachelor's of law, we have a master's of law, that's an integrated master's. And then we have the bar course, you know, kind of if you're wanting to specialize and stay in the UK and become a barrister or a solicitor. Our business school was the first in Europe to get double accreditation from AACSB. So we are statistically in the top 1% of business schools in Europe because of that achievement. So it is a very well-ranked, very good reputation that our business school has. The health and life sciences department is where we have things like our biology, biotech, chemistry, forensic science, our sports sciences, so physiotherapy, and then our nursing department, midwifery, psychology. It's a big department as well. There's a lot of different subjects. And this is what I was saying earlier about there being kind of more niche degrees. So, you know, if it is something that you're interested in very specifically, like sports and exercise science, or, you know, we have sports management or things like that. We have quite a broad range of programs in that department as well. Especially our nursing programs and our physiotherapy programs, they're very highly ranked, and the employability rates from those programs are close to 100% every year, because there is such a high demand for good quality graduates for those subjects. The students for those subjects are normally based at either our Sports Central facility at our main campus, or then at our Coach Lane campus, which is just 3 miles to the east of the city. And that's where we have our specialist department in health and life sciences. So you would be based there. Then we've got art, design, and social sciences. So this is where we have things like our fashion degrees, interior design, art, history, education. We've got criminology and criminology with sociology, English language and literature. And again, our design programs are in the top 10 in the UK, and our English programs are in the top 15 in the UK. So again, very highly ranked and good reputation on our programs here as well. We have a lot of companies that are based in the Northeast. So I know this is a big question that students ask as well, is, you know, do I not have to be in London because London is where all the companies are? But actually Newcastle in the Northeast is a kind of business hub outside of London in the UK. So we've got some really big companies that actually have their kind of headquarters here around the area. And so that means that when students graduate, they have really good opportunities for getting jobs with those companies and being able to stay local, and also getting experience with those companies while you are studying. So you do like placements or get some work experience or part-time work with these companies as well. And then finally, the engineering and environment faculty. So that is where we have things like our architecture and built environment. We've got different engineering branches, so electrical, mechanical, automotive, civil engineering. We've got our computer science department, maths and physics and geography they're all in this faculty as well. And again, we're 9th in the UK for architecture and 17th for civil engineering. So again, our engineering and architecture programs are very well recognized across the UK. And our architecture and computer science buildings have been recently renovated as well, with a £6.7 million investment. So you get to really learn in you know, kind of very modern, very recently refurbished facilities, which is really great because you get your own kind of space, and you get access to all of the, you know, 3D printers and the architecture studios and things like that as well. Here's just some pictures of the different departments. So we've got our architecture studios here in the top left. This is our library building next to it. Then there's some pictures from the biology lab and the 3D printing lab. This blue building in the middle is our computer science department. Then you can see in the bottom left, we've got our health and sciences department. So we have these kind of exercise bikes that you can then, while people are exercising, you can measure their oxygen levels, you can measure their heart rate, things like that, to learn more about, you know, for example, if you're training an elite athlete and you want to really check their performance, you know, you're kind of teaching that to the students. We've got our sewing machines as part of the fashion department and the design department, which you would have access to as well. Here we've got some pictures from our library's kind of common spaces where you can, you know, of course, study, but also do a lot of group work and just spend time relaxing as well. We've got our 3D design facilities like woodwork and workshops. And then this in the top right is a picture from our nursing department where we have these dolls. So this is a kind of doll that can be operated from the next room, and you can make the doll speak, you know, if they say, oh, my stomach hurts, and then the students have to, you know, kind of say, okay, well, if somebody said their stomach hurts, this is what I would do to check, you know, what could be wrong. And then we've got some more pictures from our student central facilities as well, and another woodshop picture there as well. And if you think about where Newcastle is, I'm not sure, maybe some of you might not know where we are in the UK. So London is just down south. And from London, it's about a 3-hour train journey to Newcastle. But we do have an international airport in Newcastle as well. And we've got direct flights to a lot of places across the world. Or then there are some hubs, for example, Amsterdam and Dubai and things like that, where we have direct flights that you can easily transfer from wherever you're coming. So normally students tend to just fly all the way to Newcastle because it's really easy to get all the way here. But if you do want to explore the rest of the UK while you're with us, or if you want to go on a little trip around Europe, it's really easy to get to pretty much anywhere, wherever you're wanting to go, because we've got that international airport and really great train connections across the country as well. Just to introduce Newcastle, so as I already said, Newcastle is one of the UK's best student cities. So it's been voted, I think the statistics were it's been voted the best student city something like 6 times in the last 9 years or something crazy like that. So like really every year the students say Newcastle is the best place to be studying. It's an international city because we've got 2 large universities here. So you have people from all over the world. So our international students feel really safe. You know, they don't feel like they really stand out as the only non-UK person here. You know, you're among thousands of other international students as well. It's a really safe city as well because it's very compact. So you don't have to be like taking a bus for 1 hour in the middle of the night to get home. Normally, all of our accommodation is within walking distance of our campus. So normally students just walk home within 5 or 10 minutes. It has a very good reputation for the nightlife, the cultural life. So there's, you know, a lot of bands that do UK tours tend to have Newcastle as one of the stops. So you have a really good live music scene. And then, as I was saying about the kind of culture and history and the nature of the UK as well, we have really good access to a lot of different areas across the UK. So students tend to really explore the country while they're with us here as well. And maybe one of the best things for students is that it's a really affordable city as well. It's one of the most affordable UK cities in terms of living costs. So I've got some stats looking at the average kind of money you would be spending every month, it's estimated at around £610 plus, of course, your rent. But rent is normally only about, let's say, £300 to £400 per month. So we say if you've about £1,000 is what you would normally be looking at in terms of your kind of rent and living costs, food, travel, things like that per month. But you can also, kind of go to the restaurants and cinema and things like that. And you're paying a lot less than you would be paying, especially in London, but even in some of the larger cities that are now getting more and more expensive. So your money just goes a lot further in Newcastle, which I think a lot of students appreciate. And then, like I already mentioned, we really focus on getting you job ready with a degree at Northumbria. So it's not just about, making sure that you perform well during your degree, but also about preparing you for whatever it is you want to be doing after you graduate. So we are number 2 in the UK for graduate startups, and also 7th in the UK for professional employment of our students. We're one of the top UK universities rated for job readiness, and one of the top 100 universities in the world for proportion of graduates within employment within 12 months of graduation. So I think that's obviously, kind of the statistics side of things, but then what does that mean for you when you're actually studying with us? So it means that the way our courses are built is that you get as much hands-on experience as possible. So it's not just academic learning, it's learning by doing. It's kind of real life scenarios and examples that you would be doing while you're with us. We work with, as I was mentioning, all the companies that are based in the area and across the UK to give you opportunities to do work placements with them. But also we have companies come and do talks for our students about what do they look for in graduates. If you are wanting a career in, let's say, working for Samsung, then what do they want you to be doing during your studies to make you a good candidate for them once they start looking for people to hire. And then our careers department is award-winning as well, and they are there to support you throughout your degree, but then also for up to 5 years after you graduate, you can use our careers services for things like if you have a job interview coming up and you want to do a bit of a practice interview with someone just to get your nerves down or something like that, you can do that with the careers team. They can help with developing your CV, or just kind of showing you how to get started with your job hunt. A lot of useful resources like that are available. For business and law students specifically, we have something called the Business Clinic and the Student Law Office, which are kind of offices that our students run with the support of their professors, and they provide real experience and real advice for kind of clients coming in from the city. So you might have maybe there's somebody who needs some legal support in a case and they can't afford to go to a fancy expensive lawyer. They can come to our student law office, and our students can represent them in court and kind of try and help them with that. And actually our student law office has won over £1 million of compensation for different cases throughout the few years that it's been running. So it is a really successful office, but also a really great opportunity for students to really learn what it's like to be a lawyer and work in different legal fields in the UK. And as I've said already, study abroad and placement opportunities are just another way to really gain that experience while you're with us as well. Just to show where you can go for your study abroad options. So the US is our biggest destination, where we had 54 students go in 2018. But then we have places like Australia, the Netherlands, France, Spain, Germany, and then some more unusual places. We've had places students go to South Korea, Sweden, Denmark, Mexico. You can go pretty much anywhere in the world because we have these partnerships spread out all over. And then just looking at the extracurricular activities, so we obviously have our Students' Union, and they're the ones that run all of our clubs and societies. So you have the kind of more hobby-based clubs, things like wine and cheese, or going kayaking together, the architecture club, climbing club, things like that. And then also our sports clubs. So if you are already playing a sport and you want to continue that at university, you can join a club. Or if you want to try something new, maybe you've never tried squash and you want to give it a go with some new friends, then you can join the club for that as well. And then looking at our student support outside of that, of course, if you need any support in terms of, mental health support, financial support, counseling, some academic support, anything like that, we've got a lot of services available. And our Ask for Help team are there 24/7 at the library. So there's always going to be someone available to answer your questions or help you with anything that you might need to know. Just to quickly touch upon our academic requirements, obviously it very much depends on what specific subject you're applying for. So some of them might have slightly lower requirements, or some of them have slightly higher. So it's a good idea to just have a look on our website, and you can find the full information of the entry requirements for that specific program. And also if you've got the Turkish qualifications or anything else, then we will have those listed on our websites as well. And in terms of IELTS, normally we would be looking at about 6.0 overall for undergraduate and 6.5 for postgraduate. But again, it can change depending on the subject, so just have a look on our website. And that is everything. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And I think we can move on to the questions now. Here is the email address for Lina, and I'll put it into the chat as well. So if you do want to save it and you want to get in touch with Lina after the presentation, then you can give her an email, or I will also put my email into the chat as well. And so if you want to ask me anything, I will be very happy to answer your questions as well. There we go. I've put them into the chat. So let's have a look at some of these questions. Here we go. Sorry, I'm just going to the bottom so I can see them in the order. So, I'm a freshman studying computer engineering. I want to have a fluent English in a summer language school. Could you please advise me? We have run summer schools in the past, but because of COVID-19, the numbers were very low because, of course, students couldn't come here. And so they were canceled. So we will update our website once we know whether they're going to be running or not. So if you do want to be doing a summer language school at Northumbria, then I would say maybe just send us an email and we can try and find out for you whether the summer school is going to be going on this year or not. But other universities do summer schools as well. So if you can't do one at Northumbria, it might be a good idea just to contact some other university and see if maybe they have a summer school running this year that you could go to. But it is a really good idea. If you think your English isn't maybe all the way up to where it should be, do a summer school, because it can be just a few weeks, or you can do a longer one for the whole summer. And it gives you a really good edge in terms of improving your English skills really quickly. What are the minimum scores that you want in master's degree? I shared the screen, so hopefully you were able to see the qualification scores that we normally look for in master's degrees. But if you didn't get a chance to read them, then just get in touch again and we can give you more information about the specific course and what the requirements would be. But like I said, IELTS normally 6.5 for a master's would be the minimum, really. What are the scholarship opportunities? I think, again, I hopefully gave you the answer in terms of scholarship opportunities UK-wide. At Northumbria, we have something called the Global Scholarship, and it is a £3,000 discount for undergraduate students and a £2,000 discount for master's students. So that's something that's the most common usually, but then there are some more competitive scholarships as well. So if you have, like, let's say if you want to look for the sports scholarship or something like that, there are some other options as well. But that's usually the global scholarship is the easiest one to achieve. I have a question here. I'm studying biology. Could you please give me some information regarding your labs in your university? Yes. So we do have labs that are exclusively for our biology kind of science students. They are kind of within a building that's in the very center of our campus. So they're really nicely located. And usually your teaching would then be kind of taking place near those labs as well. So we have the kind of normal biology labs where you have all the kind of facilities you would expect in terms of, you know, the kind of closed off Bunsen burners and beakers and things like that, where you would be doing different experimenting. But then also, depending on what kind of biology, if you go on to study, you know, one of the more specialist biology degrees, you might have access to some of the more specialist facilities in terms of, you know, we have, like I was showing the pictures of the bicycles with measuring the breathing and things like that, because we've got like sports focused degrees and things like that. So you might have some opportunity to kind of cross between different degrees and use the different facilities of our different departments as well. Are there job opportunities for students? Yeah, so if you want to be working during your studies, there are opportunities to either be working, kind of some degrees have work experience built into the degrees, and then other degrees, even if there isn't work experience, a lot of our students tend to work part-time as part of, you know, kind of outside of their studies. The good thing with Northumbria is because we are in the city center, so you can work anywhere. You know, you don't have to just work on campus because there isn't anything else around. You know, we're in the city center, so you can be doing any kind of part-time work, whatever you can get. You know, a lot of students work in the restaurants and cafes, shops. You know, they might do some work like selling flyers on the streets or things like that. Or then if you are able to find some work, you know, for example, at like an accounting firm or like one of the bigger companies that are based around Newcastle as well, you can do kind of any kind of part-time work. Of course, as long as you make sure that you're still prioritizing your studies, you know, don't work so hard that you don't have time to do your studies. Zainab has asked, do you have scholarships for international students? So yeah, as I was mentioning about the global scholarship, let me see if I can find a link for the global scholarship so you can see some more information about that. Here we go. Okay, so I'll just share the link for our funding pages in the chat, so you can all have a look in there and see some more information about our different scholarships. But the global scholarship is really the kind of most common one to receive. Can we come to England via sponsorship with our firm and work there and study postgraduate at the same time? Is there any weekly work limitation? Yes, so you can be sponsored to come and do a master's degree in the UK. Depending on the sponsorship, it would depend whether you're coming here as on a working visa or a student visa. If you come to the UK on a student visa, you can only work up to 20 hours per week. If you are on a working visa, obviously there's no limitation on the hours, but then it would need to be a certain level of job that you would be doing. So it very much depends on the situation. I would say in this case, Omer, I would maybe speak to a visa advisor and see if you can get some more official advice on your specific situation, and see which visa is it that you would need to be applying for. Is it the student visa or a working visa? Because you would have different limitations. But if you were doing a full-time master's, normally then the 20 hours of work on top of that would keep you pretty busy anyway. So it very much just depends on which one you tend to go for. Volkan has asked, is Newcastle expensive like London? No, we're much cheaper than London. So I would definitely say come to Newcastle instead of London, because the living costs are so much cheaper. You know, in London, you're probably going to be paying twice as much for rent. And then on top of that, of course, living costs are higher. Food is more expensive. Travel is more expensive. So if you do want to be saving money, Newcastle is a much better option for that. Murat has asked, is there any architectural master's degree program? Yes. So we have a Masters of Architecture program. In order to be eligible for the Masters of Architecture, you need to have already done the kind of part one of the architectural degree. If you've done it overseas, it might be possible to then kind of transfer onto the Masters. If not, you would probably be best off speaking to the architecture department and just kind of checking with them whether your qualifications meet that requirement or not. Because you need to have, you know, the kind of part one of the learning done, but also some work experience in order to be able to do the Masters of Architecture in the UK. So it's a little bit more complicated. I would maybe say, Murat, if you want to send me an email and I can put you in touch with our architecture department and they can have a look for you and kind of tell you a little bit more about what is it that you would need. Ismail has asked about industrial engineering, MBA, PhD. So we do have some engineering degrees. Let me see if we have industrial engineering. It sounds familiar, but I could be making it up. No, maybe not. To be honest, yeah, engineering-wise, I think maybe if you have a look on our website and see if the engineering programs that we offer are of interest, and then let us know. If not, you can just send me an email and I'll have a look for you in more detail about the different types of engineering that we do offer. We don't have MBA programs, unfortunately, anymore, but we do have the PhD programs. And again, with PhDs, it very much depends on whether your specific field of interest meets you know, the interest of an academic who is already teaching at Northumbria. So I would say maybe, Ismail, if you want to just send me an email and we can have a look at your specific requirements in terms of, is it engineering MSc or PhD or what would be best for you? What do you think about Brexit effect in the education system and economy? I think Brexit has had a very interesting effect because obviously we would have seen a very different result from Brexit, I think, if we hadn't had COVID, but then we had Brexit, and then just a few years later, now we've had 2 years of COVID as well. So it's very hard to see what the effect has been from one without separating, you know, one from the other, because it could be that the student numbers have dropped for some universities, but is it because of Brexit or is it because of COVID? Who knows? So it's been an interesting time in the UK, but I think overall, the situation hasn't changed. I think if you look at what students look for in a UK degree, which is, you know, the kind of great reputation, English level teaching, having that kind of student life and a positive experience outside of your studies, those haven't changed because of Brexit. So really the only thing that has changed is the cost for European students. You know, if they previously used to be a home student and now they are international, of course, that is a really big change in terms of you'll be paying a lot more for your studies. But in terms of the welcoming, you know, kind of environment in the UK, it's still there. You know, I wouldn't worry about the kind of way that the people are embracing international students. That hasn't changed, especially not in Newcastle, because we are such a student-friendly city. And we have about 50,000 students coming into the city every year. So, you know, in Newcastle, we love to have students here. Murat has one question. GPA is 2.77. Is this score enough for application? For architecture? I don't know off the top of my head what the specific GPA requirement for architecture is. So maybe, as I say, if you send an email, we can have a look for you. Because sorry, I don't know the kind of specific GPA requirements. Ismail, yes, we do have artificial intelligence and some blockchain stuff as well. So again, we might have some kind of degree that would be of interest for you. So I would say maybe get in touch and we can explore this for you. I graduated in August last year. I have a bachelor's degree in translation and interpreting. I am a self-taught cook and baker. Ooh, very exciting. Which departments, courses do you recommend for me to study? I suppose, obviously, we do have our English department. So if you were wanting to kind of continue in that track, that would be an option. But also in terms of cooking and baking, you know, we have our nutrition programs. So if like more like sports and nutrition and things like that, that could potentially be something that would interest you as well. If you were wanting to look at, you know, kind of how does cooking affect your performance? You know, what is it about nutrition and you know, kind of how can maybe something about like health psychology sense, you know, how can those kind of decisions in your cooking influence your performance and things like that. So there might be some options available. Do you have dual degree diploma programs with American universities? I am not too sure. But if you send me an email, I can put you in touch with our US team and they can have a look for you. There might be some exchange programs. So if you want to do your study abroad, then obviously we've got partners in the US. But I don't think we have a dual degree with the US, but I would double check for you. So if you please get in touch and I can have a look for you and let you know. Undergraduate or graduate dual degree diploma. Oh yeah, sorry, that's the same question. So yeah, I think that's all the questions. Whew, thank you so much, everybody. It's so wonderful to see that you have so many questions, and hopefully you found the presentation interesting as well. I'll stop sharing my screen now. But yes, I've put my email in the chat and Lena's email as well. So everybody, please do get in touch if you have any questions at all, because we are here to help you. So it will be really nice to hear from some of you and give you more information about Northumbria. But yeah, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, thank you very much for the great presentation, Sophie. It was a really informative session for the attendees, and you covered all of the questions. Thank you for your answers too.
My pleasure.
Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Umarız sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. Northumbria University ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için chat kısmında paylaşılmış olan mail adresinden Lina ve Sophie'ye ulaşabilirsiniz. Aynı zamanda linkleri incelemeniz de faydalı olacaktır. Bir sonraki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, Sophie. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Thank you so much and have a nice evening, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.